Everybody calls me Roz.
Oh, okay, Roz. That makes so much more sense.
Yeah. I used to have somebody call me Rosa all the time, but it was like an older teacher. And so, yeah. It's like the last person that has ever called me Rosa.
You can't really snap on the teacher. Like,
nah.
Stop calling me.
All right.
All right. Hey, how you doing? It's the Kool Breeze Show. It's the homie Kool Breeze. And to my right, I have Rosalind. Now, are you a dietitian? What are you taking?
Yes, I am a registered dietitian.
Okay.
I also am a massage therapist. Still waiting for my license to clear in Georgia because I, moved here a couple of years ago, and for some reason it's hard to transition over because each state has a different protocol or whatever.
Right.
So, yes, registered dietitian, massage therapist, holistic health coach, all that good stuff.
Now, I want to take it to, I guess, your history first, because we're going to get into how you became a dietitian.
Okay.
But growing up, like what, like you were a Christian, and
yes.
How did your parents cook for real?
Like all Southern people. So.
Oh yeah. She's from Memphis.
Yeah, I'm from Memphis.
So she's trippy.
Yeah, so we ate barbecue all the time. When it wasn't barbecue season, we had fried chicken and heavy meals like dressing, and holidays are my family favorite time of the year. So everybody cooks, and that's how I was able to transition so easily over to a plant-based lifestyle because I already knew how to cook based off watching my family, and then I just switched over all of the unhealthy ingredients into more healthier ingredients. So
are you can you taste stuff before you ever use it? Like, okay, I know how this tastes. I know how this tastes. If I blend it together.
Yeah, for the most part, I can. Yeah, I can.
I feel like I'm not crazy no more. I ask people that all the time, and they're like, no.
Yeah, like I can smell stuff and know how it will taste. Like it's just something. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We have ratatouille skills. So you're a dietitian now, but what kind of made you transition into a healthy lifestyle?
So when I was 12 years old, I was diagnosed with lupus. For those who don't know what lupus is, it's an autoimmune disorder. So it pretty much attacks like your entire body, different organs and all that. So, and I was taking probably about 35, 40, 45 pills a day from the time that I was diagnosed up until about my early 20s. And I'm the type of person, I don't like medicine, and I've always been around people who grew their own medicines growing up in the in the South, in the country. I was blessed enough to be able to grow up around my great grandmother and some of her cousins who were around her age and stuff, and they all grew their own food up until a point to where they couldn't no more. And just learning all of that and seeing that was my kind of entry to a more natural, holistic, plant-based lifestyle. And once I got to college, that's when I wanted to make it like official, because when I was at home, I kind of considered it, but I didn't really know much about it because in the media you didn't see many of us as vegans, plant-based, all that stuff. So I really didn't have much information until I got to college and I started learning more about nutrition and how food affects our bodies. And I started doing my own research outside of school. That's when I discovered or rediscovered Dr. Sebi and other naturopathic doctors. Because my first introduction to Dr. Sebi was years ago when Left Eye did her MTV interview and she started talking about him and she took us to the village and all that.
You know what? I wish I was more on top of like MTV and stuff when I was a kid. Because my brother, he came to me with Dr. Sebi when I was like, I was in college at this point, but I was in college in like 2015, from like 2010 to 2015. So like when my brother's coming to me with stuff, I'm kind of looking like, okay, yeah, this dude cures cancer.
Right. Yeah.
And then you go back and do the research. And it was funny, like we have similar stories. I have had ulcerative colitis.
Colitis, yeah.
So when I stopped playing football, my stomach was all kind of tore up from taking pills and things like that. And when I had to go to the hospital. They gave me mad pills. They gave me mad pills, and I had to take these pills on a regulated time and everything. And then eventually, what I ended up doing was I just started and all due to my wife at the time. She forced me to start regulating how I eat, pay attention to what I ate, things like that, and then change those things when I eat those things. But it forced me to also do research, learn about Dr. Sabi, learn about some of the things like what is it? Not seaweed.
Sea moss.
Sea moss.
Yeah, I just
I
just got my package today. Yeah, I got some purple sea moss back in my room. Yeah.
Listen, she just read out.
Yes.
But yeah, that's how I got an understanding of that healthy lifestyle. Without that, I probably would have never done it, and I would have probably died of a heart attack or something.
Same. Like I honestly, if I had never gotten sick, I would still be eating barbecue. I would still be eating chicken, all that stuff. I may have had some more healthier habits, over time, because, it's out there. All the information is out there. But for the most part, I would still be eating pretty much everything that I grew up on. But I'm thankful for, it sounds funny when people say it sounds funny when I say it, but I'm grateful that I got sick, like honestly, because it opened my eyes up to so much more, and I was exposed to a whole different lifestyle. Like now, people see me, especially people that knew me prior or people that knew me when I was going through my sickness. They look at me now like, wow, like you really switched your whole life over, because there was literally a point where I was like almost dead, like so sick. Like I spent days, like months in the hospital because like my immune system was so weak. Like I could not even be around the people. I couldn't function, couldn't breathe. Like it was that bad, that serious. So, people see me now that know me, and they're like, yeah, we really believe that this, this plant-based stuff does work. So, but it takes time to really get people onto that, especially if you're not really dealing with a chronic illness.
I think like myself. The biggest way to do it is how you did it, to have people see the change in you.
Right.
When I decided, now I'm not a vegetarian. I'm gonna be honest. Also, the colitis left.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, word.
Right. It's like
time to wild out again. Not really.
Yeah.
I eat salads all the time. I do eat a
more balanced
almost
meal.
Vegetarian diet. Sometimes, I have some chicken, I have some steak, something like that. But when I decided, I just told my wife at the time, I was like, look, let's become vegetarian.
Right.
And she's like, are you serious? We started doing it, and she's actually a vegetarian right now.
Okay.
Because I was telling her, like, based off of the way I was eating. I didn't even tell her I stopped eating meats or nothing like that. She still kept eating how she was eating. I started eating the way I wanted to eat. But you can tell how just not having those things in your body, how much more energy you have.
Yes, absolutely.
How much more focused you are. Things like that. And it's crazy because I was the biggest non-vegetarian person. Like I was a critic.
Same.
Seriously, a serious. You were a critic too?
Same. I not necessarily a critic, but like I ate whatever I wanted to eat.
Right.
Like for real. Like again, I grew up in the South, and Memphis is like barbecue city. So it's like that's all I knew growing up. And my family loves to cook, and they cook not in a very healthy way. So it's definitely been a transition for me, and it made me realize like, wow, like the stuff that we've learned over the years and things that our families have passed down from one generation to the next, it's like, I see it's killing us, like literally killing us. So
and even like, this is how serious it got for me. It sucks. Even things as small as like the juice you drink. I used to go to the grocery store. At first I would just buy juice, and then I'd be like, man, the juice make me feel bad. So I'd read the label. I'm like, okay, I'm not drinking this. And I'd be like, 100% natural juice. Okay, this is what I'm drinking. But then you go back and look at it, it's made from concentrate. I'm like, yo, y'all trying to kill us.
And that's why I tell
y'all don't care at all.
I tell people that I work with now, like my clients, I'm like, don't just read the front of the label, because the front of the box is a lie, basically. Like that's how they advertise, that's how they pull you in to get you to buy their products. Read the back of it, where all the, what the percentage and, you know, all that stuff, the nutritional facts are. And at the bottom, it'll tell you exactly what's in there. Like it'll tell you the ingredients, and then whatever the first ingredient that's listed on there, that's the most that's in there. So that's like the highest volume of whatever is in there. So if the first thing on there is water, it's made mostly of water. But if the first thing on there is apple juice, then it's pretty much apple juice. So you can find cold pressed apple juice at like Kroger, Whole Foods, stuff.
We had a Kroger
like
by our house in Ohio.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ohio for having Krogers everywhere. There was no food line.
Yeah.
So like we went to Kroger all the time, and that's where they used to have. Well, not used to. They still have. They have the grape juice. That grape juice. That good stuff. And then they have the apple juice. I didn't like it at first. I don't know why, because I guess you're so used to having
to the
those
sugar.
chemicals.
You're used to the high fructose corn syrup has the same chemical impact as crack. Like literally.
That stuff.
Like so serious. And that's why it's so hard for people to get off of sugar, because it's addictive just like drugs. So, you know, it's important to like really understand like what you're putting in your body, especially if you have children. Like I tell I used to work in the school system, and I used to like get so upset about like the stuff that they were feeding the kids, because I'm like, this is why most of these children are on ADHD medication. They can't concentrate. They have, you know, anxiety, or they have behavioral problems. It's because of the food that you're feeding them.
So speak on this for a second. You left college. What did you do?
So got my degree in healthy human performance and nutrition in college. And once I left college, I actually started working in, I was kind of like in between stuff, because I really didn't want to teach. Like, even though I love children, I saw how they treated teachers. I knew from just being around a lot of teachers how much teachers got paid. And I'm like, I'm not trying to do all that. I'm like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do like something I really want to do, something that's going to pay well, all that. So I left, and I actually ended up going to massage therapy school. And that's when I started learning really a lot about like the body mechanics, posture, how we should sleep. And then that also brought me more into my spiritual side, kind of, sort of, which I had already started doing that as well while I was in college, but it really brought me more into that once I got into massage therapy school, because I started really getting into meditation, really getting into other practices, which is interesting. A lot of people find it interesting when I talk about this, is even though, yes, I grew up Christian, my stepfather's a preacher, I also grew up around a lot of people who practice African spirituality.
Wait, have you seen the Ola video?
Yes.
Okay, shout out to Ola. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I grew up around a lot of people who practice African spirituality, practice Buddhism and Hinduism, Catholics. I grew up around a lot of different types of faiths. So I have no restriction, or I have no like judgment when it comes to what people believe, because I'm like, I've seen a lot of stuff.
The biggest things about these religions is, and I didn't grow up with them, I actually studied them. I just took a class on them in college, and I realized like they teach you that like these things were based off spirits,
right? Not
based off like it's evil,
right?
When someone's evil and they're doing it,
right?
So yeah, but continue.
All right, but yeah, so yeah, that's what got me into more of like the spiritual aspect of it, and then just the whole physical healing process really brought me to a more spiritual place, because like there were times where I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Like I really thought there were days or nights where I would go to sleep and I'm like, well, this is it. Like I'm not gonna wake up the next morning, because I would just feel so bad. Like the pain would be horrible. And even while I was still transitioning, like I would have moments where I was still kind of like in pain, even though it took about a year for me to really get off everything. Because before I even started transitioning, I took myself off medicine because I just got tired of taking it, because it was making me feel worse than actually taking it. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stop taking it. I didn't tell my doctors that, but I just took myself off of it. So yeah, it definitely took a while.
Do you feel like the pills affect your mental health?
Heck yeah.
Okay, because I thought so as well. It's just,
absolutely.
I don't know.
And even on the bottles, some of the bottles, it tells you, may cause psychological impairment, may cause mood swings, stuff like that. Like, so yeah, it definitely has a big impact on your mental well-being. So, and a lot of these medicines aren't supposed to be taken together, but I mean, doctors aren't going to tell you that. They're just trying to make their money.
Yeah, they really are. They really, really are. Yeah. Me and my brothers have really been pushing my mom, she's an ex-veteran. Mm-hmm. Ex-veteran. Well, is that how you say it? Anyway, she's a veteran.
Yeah.
Right? And when I tell you that lady had mad pills, it was crazy.
I know. Yeah, I got a lot of military. It used to
be so scary. She's like, get up in the morning, just the little long, open flip one, flip Monday up and just. Like, yo, that's scary.
Yep.
But so you got yourself off the pills, right? Mm-hmm. And I can understand that feeling like you're gonna die, because like that pain is debilitating.
Yes, very.
It's seriously debilitating. What was your family going through at that time?
Man, well, early on, like when I first got diagnosed, everybody was frantic, confused. It was a lot to take in because we never heard of it. Lupus was new for everybody. So it was just like, we're all learning together. And, I had to go through all these changes. Luckily, I had a really good pediatrician at the time. And he kind of guided us to start taking me off certain foods. Because he was like, certain foods that kind of affect, because I had arthritis at 12. So yeah, he was like, right.
What?
I had rheumatoid arthritis at 13 years old. So he was like, yeah, certain foods that, that affect that. So you may want to stop eating starch and potatoes and bread and, no white sugar, no white flour, stuff like that. So that early on, I was already kind of like health conscious about what I ate. And so I would do crazy stuff like, cause like my mom cooked pretty much every day. Except for on Friday, she got like a free day where we could do like either pizza or, we could order out or whatever. So after my diagnosis, that kind of slowed down, even though they still ordered out, but they would have to think of something else so I can eat, because I couldn't eat bread. I couldn't eat, I really couldn't eat wings, because hot wings were like my favorite food. So it was like a lot of stuff that was really breaded, I couldn't eat. So we try to figure out ways so where I can still enjoy stuff that I like, but make it a little healthier. So if she bought like something from, say, Wendy's, she bought like a burger from Wendy's or something, because like Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich was my favorite at the time. So she would go and buy me a Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich, get everything on it, and I would take the bread off. So I would just eat the chicken and the lettuce and whatever condiments that was on it, and like eat that like that instead of eating the bread. And
crazy.
It was still, because it still gave me that like pleasure of what I wanted,
right.
But it's like at the same time, like, I know I'm not supposed to be eating, because I would eat it and I would feel horrible afterwards. So, but yeah, that, and then just really working towards eating healthier. So it was, like I said, earlier on, I was really just taking myself off a lot of food. And I really started being more vegetarian. So like the last meat that I ate was seafood. Seafood was the hardest thing for me to give up, and I gave that up in college. So, but yeah, it was I wouldn't say a rough transition, but it was definitely hard because I've been eating like that all my life. That's all I knew. So I'm thinking, man, if I stop eating this, I won't have a lot of food options to eat. What, a lot of people think that when they first start transitioning. And then, dairy was another thing that was hard for me to give up. So I'm like, I won't be able to drink milk anymore or have cheese anymore.
Milk is fire. I don't understand. I still don't understand that. So
yeah, it definitely, but once I started to discover that there are healthier options that taste just as good, if not better, I'm like, okay, it's not as hard.
So what advice would you give someone that needs to transition? They know they have to, they're either feeling sick, or they see the facts and it's getting to them. Like they have to change, and they know it deep down. They feel it, but they don't know how to. So what advice would you give that person?
I would say take it slow. First, take away the foods that you like, but that you don't necessarily feel like you would be desperately fiending for necessarily. Like, stuff that you don't eat a lot.
So progressively.
Yeah. So say if you eat pork or beef, but it's not something that you eat all the time or that you feel like that you're going to miss out on. Take that away first. And then start to take away the stuff that's harder for you, like the dairy, the chicken, the fish. And then start also, while you're taking stuff away, start to add other foods that you don't normally eat, more plant-based foods. Like, if you don't eat zucchini, start eating zucchini. Start to kind of test it out, cook it differently.
Don't start with kale.
No.
Don't do it. Listen, you ain't ready for that kind of smoke. Don't do it.
That's a whole, I don't want to make this interview too long, but that's a whole different topic because, you have certain foods, because now my studies are, I've studied Dr. Sebi, I've studied other naturopathic doctors, I've studied people who have, these alkaline diets, which my food intake is mostly alkaline, not all, but for the most part it's pretty much alkaline. When I was transitioning though, I was strictly alkaline. I wouldn't eat anything, no.
That's how my brother was.
No processed.
I used to pick on him when I came to his house. I was like, look, if y'all run out of food, y'all can eat this. Y'all can eat your cleaner fries.
Right. Exactly. Yep, same way. But yeah, like now I'm a little bit more lenient. Like I go out and eat from a lot of the vegan restaurants in town and everything. So, but yeah, just start to transition. But I was gonna say about the kale, like certain kale, because there are certain foods that are hybrids and there are certain foods that are non-hybrids. There are some hybrid vegetables. There are some hybrid fruits. There are some hybrid animals, like that aren't, they aren't natural to the earth, but they were over time produced in a laboratory, or there was some cross growth or whatever. So I was gonna say that about the kale, because there are certain kales that are like yeah.
Kale is nasty.
Kale,
you might as well go eat a leaf off a tree. Like,
I don't like the curly kale. Like the curly kale is nasty. But the darker kale, I prefer. Like if I'm gonna eat it, I'd rather eat that one.
Right. Now this is the last question.
Okay.
For as a dietitian, you've really been passionate about this. If you don't know, you have to check her out on IG. She got her own thing going. She really don't need Kool Breeze. But what is your dream for your career as a dietitian?
So one of my big dreams is to have like my own wellness clinic center type thing. I wanted to start doing retreats and just gathering people, not just people who have certain illnesses, but just people in general who want to heal, who have some type of yearning to want to transition, but they don't know how to, because again, when you look in the media, you don't really see too many of us. You see more of us now because more of us are starting to speak up and really
making it where, like, even Waka Flocka talked about
right.
it. Like, I'm like, whoa.
Exactly.
That was a left.
So, exactly. So yeah, it's more of us that are getting out there and are really pushing it. But yeah, I would definitely want to have my own wellness center. My own line of products. I have my own juice recipes that I make. So like I do offer meal plans or meal preps. So I cook for certain people. And I do, whenever they need to do a detox or a fast, I make the juice for them and then just send it over. So I'm working on now, looking for investors. So if you're an investor, invest in me. I'm looking to make my own line of cold pressed juice and vegan snacks. Yep. So that's what I'm working on right now. I have the, products. I have all the recipes. I have my label, how I want to look. I got colors and all that. I just, investors. That's what I'm looking for.
All right.
Yep.
Tell the people where to find you.
So you can find me pretty much on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as Rosalind Renee, and it's spelled ROSALYNRENAY. And my email address is rosalindrenee@gmail.com if you would like to set up any consultations and things like that. So I look forward to speaking to you all.
And it's the homie Kool Breeze. You can follow the new Instagram at Kool Breeze Media. You can follow the YouTube at Kool Breeze Media. And you can find me on Twitter at King Breeze into the bass. And you can follow me on Facebook at El Cristo Negro. Follow the Facebook. I got like 6 followers on Facebook. I'm a true scrub on Facebook. I don't know nobody. All right. Y'all have a good day, man. We out.
Peace.
Oh.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Yeah, it works. Do it again.